One thing that Gary told me right off the bat was that he really wanted to be true to the book, not just the spirit, but thematically, plot-wise, character-wise. So to me, it was like, when you get great source material, it's like our job to screw it up, you know? So let's not screw it up. It was the things that were difficult in it were the things that were the most challenging, that I think are the things that are sort of the most rewarding visually. We looked at a couple places, and North Carolina just fit the bill in a number of ways. So that's how we ended up here. The most difficult thing was scouting all the woods locations between January and February. So we had to make a decision on where we were going to go. And I was scouting in the snow with no leaves on any of the trees. Gary asked me, "Do you think it's going to work? Is it good?" And I'm like, "I think it's going to work. I'm out here in the snow taking pictures," and then obviously referring back to books, photographic books about what this place looks like in the summertime. And it was a little bit of a leap of faith, but it ultimately worked out all right. Besides the opulence and the sort of the vastness and the scale, there wasn't a lot of other very specific description of the Capitol. So I very early on was doing research, and I found these buildings from I think it was the 1936 World's Fair that was held in New York, and that's when like Chrysler built a huge building. Ford, General Motors, they all built these kind of temples to industry, and it just sort of seemed to just vibe right with what we had been talking about. Originally we never thought we would find what we found for the seam, so we talked about maybe building one house and a kind of a facade of the house next door and kind of redressing it and maybe doing some CG extensions. But we ended up finding through the Western North Carolina Film Commission, we ended up finding an abandoned mill town. So the factory had gone away decades ago, and the houses, I think, had been abandoned for a couple of decades, but there were about 35 almost identical, turn of the century, 1920s, I think it was maybe 1920s, built factory homes for the workers that lived on premises, and that's where they worked. And it was absolutely perfect.